Here we go. What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday to you. I hope that you have enjoyed your Saturday. I have been enjoying my day of rest. Shabbat Shalom to all of my Israelites who observe and keep Sabbath. I love you and I hope that you had a good day. Oh, that Saturday Sabbath nap is life. It is life. I mean, I feel so rejuvenated. And so I usually get to work in right after sundown because I'll look around my house and like, I need to do this. I really need to do this. But all praise in the God in heaven, Yahuwah, and our King, Yahusha. So it's interesting because I was thinking to myself, right? There's so much arguments about human superiority, and everyone has their reason for maybe why they feel like they are superior. I would like to remind everybody that at the end of the day, we are all descendants of Adam and Eve. And if you understand being a descendant of Adam and Eve, you will understand that Adam and Eve gave us all the disease of sin and imperfection. So God created us perfect. We wanted to go off in our own little minds and venture off and just learn things really, really quickly, right? That was the problem with Adam and Eve. They didn't want to just learn as they went along. They had the access to learn really, really quickly. And you know what happens when you do things really, really quickly? Sometimes there is always going to be some error. So Adam and Eve passed their air, their curiosity onto us, right? And they afflicted humanity. They afflicted humanity with the disease of sin and imperfection. This is why, when we read in Psalms 119, his spirit goes out. He goes back to his ground, and in that day his thoughts do perish. So that is the reality for every single fleshly human on this earth. Even if you have the wealth and the access to prolong your life, your ultimate fate in this system of man is death. There is no way around it. No matter how wealthy you are, no matter how you perceive yourself to be supreme or beautiful, your fate is death. And I say this to say that, I've been accused of being a bigot and everything. I am a daughter of the Most High. I don't hate anybody but hateful, wicked people. And there's a lot of those in the world. So there's a lot of people to hate, actually. And I'm not trying to be mean. This is just all honesty. There are some wicked, hateful people in this world. And if our God hates things like that, then we are taught to hate what he hates. Right? So we hate wickedness if you are a believer. And shout out to my believers. Nice to see you, Wilson Michael. What's up? I don't know how to pronounce your name, but grace and peace to y'all. Shalom. Shabbat shalom. So I'm talking to my brothers and sisters of faith. And I really want you guys to understand that when you're walking on this earth among human beings from any nation, of any color construct, you are not superior to them. You may have a better lot in life than them, but you're not superior to them because we all have the same fate. We are fleshly humans. We will all die. So, with that being said, I ponder about these arguments of superiority, and I would invite you all to check out my live stream talking about the 5 social values in society, right? And I'm just going to recap those really quickly here so that you kind of understand the real context to this conversation of human superiority and why it's riddled with fallacy. All right. So, in my mind, I sat down and I pondered what aspects of any type of individual, any given human being in society what are some things about that person that will make them be perceived as valuable to another human being, right? And so when we look at human beings throughout history, the reoccurring things uh, throughout history, there's a couple of things that we notice, right? And these are just realities of life, folks, right? Beauty is a value, right? Whether people like it or not, beauty is a value. There are people that can be beautiful and they can get by in life with their beauty. It's just reality, right? They can be dumber than a sack of diapers, can't create anything, can't do anything dynamic, but their beauty can get them by and they can at least learn to develop another value along the way, right? But if you're not beautiful, and a lot of people in society of all colors are not beautiful, you can sample any given nation of people and you're going to find both attractive and unattractive people in those societies. And more times than not, the most of the people are going to be this social construct of either mediocre or unattractive. That's just life, right? But that is just to say that if you're not beautiful, right, you need to have brains, right? You need to have intelligence. If you don't have intelligence, right, if you don't have beauty, you need to be smart. This is where you get the scholars in society, the philosophers, right? They have a value in society, right? And they have that perception of value is something that is desirable to other human beings. But if you're not beautiful, you're not smart, you need to be able to create things, right? That's where ingenuity comes in. Engineers, creators, people that work, craftsmen, these people are valuable in societies. They are very valuable in societies. Most societies can't function without engineers and craftsmen, right? So that is a value that people see in other people. But if you can't create anything, you better be able to play a sport, right? This is where your gladiators and your sportsmen, they can be dumber than a sack of diapers, not very attractive, right? They can't create anything, but they can throw a ball, they can run really fast, they can do things with their bodies that most people can't do. This is why sports people will always be valuable in societies because people like competition, right? We were all created in the image of God. Amen. Amen. That makes us valuable. Amen. But you know what? It's those who choose to be in the image of God that are valuable, Jeremiah. Some people don't want to be in the image of God. Some people aren't running around or walking on this earth in the image of God. So I think we do need to be realistic. You can say, I believe in God until the cows come home, but if you are not living that image of God, you're not valuable to God. And I think people need to be realistic of that. If we're hating what God hates, that means that God has defined things that he hates. And if we're running around doing things that God hates, how do you think that you're valuable to him? You have to have some conformity to his standards, his laws, and his covenant. Those, and I mean, and you can even see this, right? When you go back and you look at the Old Testament and you really look at the conflict that the nation of Israel had, right? They had complete hedge of their God. We had zero doubt that the nation of Israel was in complete covenant with their God. How do we know that? Because they were protected. They had a hedge. There were no other nations able to conquer them or infiltrate them. But the minute they got out of covenant with their God, what happened? The Assyrians came and got busy with them. The Babylonians came and got busy with them. And eventually the Romans came to get busy with them. Those were their judgments for not being in the image of their God that was designed in their covenants. They were breaking their covenants left and right, and they were not in the image of God. And they lost that protective hedge. And we really have to understand that, don't just cherry pick the Bible, read those accounts and really understand what was going on and what was happening. What were those contracts or covenants agreements, right? Those people were not reflecting the image of God. And as a result, there were moments where they lost his protection, and we saw that play out throughout the Old Testament. And that's just word 100. We got to, I wish people would stop cherry picking the Bible and just read the entire account. Read the entire chapter, the entire book. And when you do that, parallel what has happened in secular mankind's history. And that's how you're going to really understand what those accounts are saying. I don't like to call Bible stories because they're not stories. These are personal human accounts of what was happening on earth at those people's time. It's just like me blogging to you people right now. This is my account. This is my perception of what is going on the earth at my time. We're living Bible prophecies right now. You think that like a lot of these things that we're doing and how we're operating in modern mankind's history, you don't think that there are prophets who are writing about us so that future generations will learn the lessons of our sins and how we have turned away from God as nations? That's why this world is so chaotic, right? But, getting back to the conversation at hand, human superiority, it's a lie. There's so much fallacy in it, and even when you think about any group of people, and see, I'm always going to believe that race is an acceptable construct, especially in the West, right? Race is an acceptable construct. It's just an easy way of bucketing people into identity groups so that perhaps you can divide them, right? But I will also say that, I will argue that if people really peel back the layers of who they are, if they really peel back, run your DNA, right, you'll understand that you come from nations of people, right? We come from nations of people, right? And if you're Black American, a lot of times people like to look at Black Americans and they don't really understand the individuals that we are. We are walking genocide, I'm sorry. We are, because we're not pure Africans. We are not pure Africans. And this is what make Black Americans different than other African or other nations, because excuse me, and I'm not talking about our Caribbean brothers and sisters, because we are more linked to them than even some of these African people. But I'm just saying that, when you look at Black Americans, and somebody got offended because I said, I'm a mutt. I am a mutt. I am not a pure African person. Even if my complexion was somewhat similar to somebody in Africa, I'm not a pure African. They are more pure of the womb than I am. Because, as an American descendant of slave, I got European blood, I got indigenous blood, I got African blood. We are mutts. We are mutts. We are mutts. That's why we don't look like a lot of them, because we have so much tainting of our African heritage in this European West. We're not the same Black people. We are not the same Black people. Even if we have an inklet of the same ancestry, I'd argue that in my bloodlines, I have African, Irish, and Native ancestry, right? So when somebody looks at me, I have this one dude like, you're West African. You look just like the West Africans. Why are you disowning your people? I was like, first of all, the West Africans sold our people over here. Very few Africans from the slave trade were stolen. Matter of fact, I would like to argue that it was the West Africans who were actually stolen, but they were busy selling other tribes. And our people were some of those tribes that they were selling. So I don't understand why these West African people will come at me, a Black American, and expect some allegiance to West Africa. You guys are traitors. You sold our people to this land. You made our people go through what we had to go through to just own our own ethnic national identity in America. So hell yeah, Black Americans are separating ourselves specifically from y'all. specifically for your, at least this one is. It's like, please don't ever chime in over here talking about you're West African and you hate your ancestry. You're not my ancestry anymore. You guys rejected my people as even being part of your ancestry, and you gave us to the Europeans. So don't come over here West African and over here to me. I don't like that. I really don't like stuff like that. I am not African. I'm American. I'm American. I am culturally different than West Africans. We don't even have the same bloodlines. We do not have the same bloodlines. I'm working with powerhouse American bloodlines. That means the Africans, the European, and the Native American. I am American strong. So don't do that. I cannot stand it when these West Africans come over here doing that to me. Like, because I will break it down to you real quick. Your people, so our people to the Europeans. So we're not like you. You're not like us. And don't expect for me to just overly absorb West African ancestry. It won't happen. I have nothing to do with it, and I probably won't. Respectfully to the West Africans who do. I respect your culture, but just don't come over here superimposing it on me. But anyways, I'm talking about superiority of race because I think that there's so many fallacies in it, you know? And of course there's going to be some passionately ignorant, sensitive person that comes up in here talking about you're racist. But let's just keep it real. The biggest race narrative among humanity is white supremacy. And there are so many fallacies to why that is a lie. And we can just take white supremacy as an argument just by natural human existence, right? Natural human existence. And I'm just going to be rhetorical about this. Why is it that every other ethnic group in this world that is melanated is not burned by the sun like many of them? Why would God create a superior race of people and then turn around and have his son burn them? Why would a God have to make sure that these people have some form of added melanin in order for them to be protected by the sun? I've never wore sunscreen. I don't have to. I don't know any Black person that has ever wore sun protectors because our skin tones are cut for the sun, right? So when you want to talk about superiority and even down to real Semitism, real Semites come from Africa and the Middle East because their skin tones are cut for that. So if there's somebody saying I'm a Semite, right, and you're over in the Africa and Middle East and the sun is burning your ass, that means that you may need to go and take a DNA test because something is wrong there. Because the people from those regions that should be there, the sun is not burning them like it is some of these so-called white supremacist individuals. And we have to be real about that. The other argument of white superiority, they're always saying Black women are jealous of white women and they're always wearing white women's hair. And it's like, let's just look at, the Caucasian hair. It is the weakest of the races. Let's just be real. And I'm not trying to demean white people, but I'm taking your white superiority away from you because it's a fallacy. And the most ugliest segment of white America need it, right? Because they need to feel better about themselves. So white people, we need y'all to be realistic to some of y'all folks, right? When it comes to these white superiority questions, ask them what makes us superior. And what you're going to realize is that the white superiority really has boiled down throughout humanity to colonizing. No other group of people really have thought about colonizing other people like your group of people have. So if that's your idea of superiority, then you go with it. But then you got to go and dial back and say, if you claim to be a person of God, is what you think make you supreme really godly? Do you think God want nations really running into other nations and colonizing them, ripping them of their cultures, stealing them, dehumanizing them. Do you really think a loving God would want another fleshly human human who will die like all the rest? Do you really think that he favors people like that? He don't. That is Satan's. Your God is Satan. Any human being running around this earth thinking that they are more superior to another human being, you are a child of Satan. Supremacy is a product of Satan, the devil. And if you really understood Satan's supremacy, you understand really the huge argument between man and spirit, because he was jealous of us. He did not want to exalt us, worship us. He did not want us to exist. Right? So your supremacy, your white supremacy, even if you're a black supremacist, if you are a supremacist of any nation, you are from your father, the devil. You are from your father, the devil. You are not a child of God. You can't even pretend like you are. Because if you are running around a ticking time bomb, fleshly human, where your life can end at any moment in the day for any reason, and you're running around with superiority, there's something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you, and you are not of God. You are from the devil. Now everybody want to be that ain't no. I don't even know. Try to articulate the comment better. They how am I preaching supremacy? You can't comprehend. See, it's always the lower comprehension people that come in here with their supremacy and their ignorance. They don't listen to comprehend. They don't read to comprehend. They just chime in, tail into a conversation, and they think they know what they're talking about, and they don't. This conversation is anti-supremacy, but unfortunately, your supremacy cannot comprehend that because you're coming in with your passionate ignorance, and this isn't the conversation for that. So you can just run along. But anyways, when you're talking about like I've been accused of being a supremacist because I have been one of those Black Americans who have decided that I want to delineate my Black looking self from other Black looking people who do not really come from the core foundational Black American culture. And a lot of people say, well, that's racist, that's supremacist, right? But Tariq Nasheed, he posted about 2 hours ago. He says Nigerian man says Black women are jealous of Pamela Anderson. Lord. This is coming from, like, I'm telling you, it's these non-Black looking people who hate their women the most. They like, I love, listen to that Black girl from the UK talk about how the Black men thought that the white women were better. They only dated white women. It is these this is not a Black American thing, and a Black American man thing. And I really thought it was, because obviously I was not delineating. But now that I've delineated, I understand which Black looking men try to make Black women look ugly or feel ugly or put white women's looks above Black women. And it is these tether class Black looking men. Black American men, foundational Black American men, they do not elevate white women above their Black women. They don't make their Black women feel like they are not attractive, like they're not beautiful, right? It is these tether class Black looking men. They do that to their women. They make their Black women feel ugly. They make white women feel superior to their Black women. So when you hear a Black man talking about white women are prettier than Black women, typically they're either coming from the conservative buck dancer class or they're coming from the Black looking immigrant classes, right? This is not the rhetoric of Black men. And now that I started delineating, I'm realizing where all of this vitriol about Black women and our ugliness and all this stuff is coming from. It's not foundational Black men. It is these other black looking men who can't stand their women. They don't find their women attractive. They're the ones who elevating white women above black women. And if you want to think like, look at Byron Donalds. I bet you his wife is not black. But Byron is not a foundational black American, right? See, there's the delineation, there's a difference, right? And Tariq is saying something close to the end of this video that I thought was very, very interesting, because he's talking to this Nigerian dude, and the Nigerian dude is going to tell Tariq that it's very dangerous for black Americans to be delineating themselves from black looking immigrants, right? But when you peel back the layers of some, because Tariq has this thing on X where if there is a crime and it's a black looking person, what Tariq does is he look at the person's name, hairline, and some other things, and he determines if these are foundational black Americans or are these immigrants that they're just putting, immigrant crimes that they're just putting on black people who look black. And that is a very important delineation or reason to delineate, because a lot of times these people just see black people creating crimes. They're not realizing that, hey, these people aren't black people. Some of these people are these immigrants that the Democrats and the Republicans have just opened this country up to bring in, and now you're putting their crimes on black people. So I like what he said here.
No, no,
You,
no,
you,
no,
you keep
no,
you
sir.
keep talking about the ability of yourself to ask questions, but what
Dude.
next?
When you get a PhD,
Wait, I want to go back.
something bad happens. I have a conscious mindset, and I would love to ask questions because I'm going to tell you why. What I'm seeing on Twitter,
Here
and
he
I'm
is.
not blaming Tariq, but what I see on Twitter is whenever something bad happens, and it's a black person in the video, people are commenting saying, "Oh, that's not an FBA. That's not an FBA. That's a tether. That's this." Sir, this is becoming dangerous.
Now, why is it dangerous for black Americans to look at a black criminal, black looking criminal, and understand that that is not a foundational black American and say, that's not one of ours, right? Because the media is always going to narrate, black guy did this, black guy like that. But then when you peel back the layers of these black looking people, these are immigrants, right? They're not even black American people who are creating these crimes. So yeah, we want to be able to call it out. Like, wait a minute, Devonte Smith, yeah, that's one of ours. Dog. But if it's like Mbitupu Bulumbu, it's like that's not one of ours. So don't put that on black people.
No. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tariq. This is your show. I apologize.
Okay, let me clear. Let's get that straight. You damn right we're doing that. We should have been doing that. Because when you guys do something constructive, listen, chaotic. Because when you guys do something constructive, when y'all go out here and win awards, when you get a PhD, you let everybody know that you ain't no FBA. You let, hey, I'm Jamaican. I'm Nigerian. I just got a PhD as a Ghanaian. You go out of your way to let folks know that you are different, and you start bigging up these homelands you fled from when you do something positive. But when you do something janky, when you rob a bank or commit a crime, all of a sudden you want to hide behind blackness, and we are saying, no, you don't. Get your ass back out there and be Nigerian again. Be Jamaican again. If you're going to be delineating when it's positive, keep delineating when you do something negative. We ain't absorbing none of your filth no more.
Amen.
And that's been a trick bag that a lot of y'all have been doing for years. You dump your filth onto us. You let your filth be black, and then let all your positive contributions be whatever nationality it is.
That's true. I mean, I can't even argue with dude. Like there are too many black looking people that they have been cosplaying as black, right? And then it's like usually, and this is no stab to the immigrants, the black looking immigrants. If you guys are over here, you over here doing your thing, you're not talking crap about black Americans, this conversation isn't yours, right? This is for your people that have the audacity, right? I gotta be clear to people because everybody like to internalize stuff, right? These conversations are really for the black looking immigrants that come over here with the audacity to speak on foundational Black Americans, to try to create some level of Black supremacy of themselves among us, right? You're not supreme in this playground. In this playground of America, foundational Black Americans will always be the HNICs. We will always be, because we were here. You are beneficiaries to our fights, our plights, and our struggles. So I don't think that any Black looking immigrant who comes over here should ever feel comfortable just getting on platforms and going to town talking about Black people. And this is what we see happening. And this is why we're saying, you know what? Time to delineate. Time to delineate. Because not only are these people having the audacity to run their mouths about Black people, they're even in the governments cosplaying as Black people, code switching as Black people, playing Blackness when it's convenient. Blackness is not a thing to play. We are a culture. We are a culture people, and you can't leverage our culture. And this is what we're saying. We're delineating because we don't want these people leveraging our people, leveraging our culture, right? And it's so funny that people would find something like this racist when it's really about cultural preservation. It really is about cultural preservation and owning the narrative of your group, right? Because I've seen a lot of newspapers where there were like Black looking people at a crime. It's like, you would think, oh, it's another Black guy creating crime. Then you realize this guy immigrated here 2 years ago and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's not a foundational Black American. So even the white folks should know your own damn people, right? If we're all Americans, right, you should know your own damn people. So this is why these conversations are going on, so that you as well can understand your own damn people, right? If we're all Americans, you need to understand what a Black American is versus a person who has come here and benefited from the struggles, our struggle, the toxic relationship that we have had in this nation for centuries, these beneficiaries, and why they're talking crap about us and why we won't tolerate it. And even in your white supremacist mind, you should understand why we too want to preserve our culture and identity. And for the record, I have zero problem with white Americans trying to preserve whatever idea of culture and identity that they have. I've never gotten on a mic and said, it's racist for white people to want to preserve their cultural identity in America. It's like, y'all do that too. There's lots of tribes in America with cultures and heritage and history in this nation. We all trying to preserve our culture. I have zero problem with any cultural group doing that, as long as it's not in the eye of supremacy, right? Black delineation is not about Black supremacy. It's literally about Black cultural preservation and making sure that when Black looking people from other countries come over here and they do something negative, that they don't put their shit on us. I mean, that's really, I don't think that is racist. I really don't think that's racist. I'm getting tired of being accused of being a racist. I work with people of all colors. I like people of all colors. I hate people of all colors too. Right? Even those that look like me, because they're ignorant.
Clearly,
and I don't like wicked people
acting the fool, fighting. It's always people saying, "Oh, those aren't FBAs. Those aren't that. Those are tethers. Those are tethers." How do you guys know that, sir? I get what you were. No, sir. What about the?
You do know. Listen.
Okay, I'll go on mute. Sorry.
There's a thing. For some reason, a lot of you guys think we don't recognize that you're not from our lineage. Some of y'all really think y'all blend in more than you really do, brother. And I think that's the thing that's kind of chapping your ass, that we can recognize when you're not of our lineage. Because y'all try so hard to blend in to be a tether. That's what a tether does. They kind of blend in to undermine. And we recognize you. We can see little mannerisms, little nuances, no matter how hard you try.
I'm just like curious, like, because that is a great point. Do people realize that even among black looking people that we understand who is from our culture and who's not. Like that's the ignorance of so many people that they think that, oh, they're all black. I can look at somebody and I can tell that they're from Somalia or Ethiopia. I can look at somebody and tell that they're Nigerian, right? But when it comes to black Americans, we're very ambiguous, right? We are very ambiguous. Many of us, we are ambiguous. I can look at a black person and I can tell that they're from the islands because their facial structures are different than ours. They don't have the European Native American mix like many black Americans do. So it's like just FYI to all the ignorant people that just think that we don't know what each other look like because you're just all black. We know. We know because again, you're talking about the cultural mixes within people. Black American, we're not homogenous. We are not pure Africans. And so our features look different a lot of times, even if we look similar, because I feel like black people around the world, you can take tribes of black people all over the place and you're going to find very similar features because again, you're talking about tribal ancestry, right? But when it comes to black Americans, it's pretty obvious that we don't look like other Africans. We definitely have a European flair to our looks, many of us, or native.
You try, that forehead and that hairline kind of peeks through. We got questions about it. Yeah, some of the women, you can kind of play the role, but
Dude
your
is
lace
always
front's
talking
a
about
little,
their
yeah,
hairlines.
certain little things tell. Yeah, your mouth looks a little different. We can tell in many
May,
cases. Sir,
may I? May I?
go ahead, sir.
Sir, remember the girl that was jumped and sexually assaulted on camera. I believe it was in Alabama. I was on Twitter and it was a lot of people saying those aren't FBAs. I'm like, what? Those are clearly FBAs. Those are clearly people of slave descent, sir. That's Alabama. That was my problem. And I have so many stories of.
And I will give concessions to what this brother is trying to say too. This Nigerian brother, he's saying that you can't put all of it on us. Like, I mean, some of this stuff is FBAs. And I'm going to agree with him because we know that when it comes to some of that ridiculous, ratchet, gang, train type stuff, yeah, we know that some of our low value brothers have histories of doing things like that. So, to his point, FBAs can't just be putting stuff on them either, right? That we don't want they shit, but we can't be putting we can't be putting our shit on them either, right? Gotta be fair here, people. Gotta be fair.
Of people doing things, and it's always, oh, those aren't FBAs. So now no FBA can be held accountable.
Yeah, what do you
for
mean
any type of
European
crime.
flair? All right, like if you black Americans are not pure Africans. I mean, I don't understand what's wrong with you people. What do you think happened during slavery? You think that these white folks weren't trying to breed black people and create a different race? They were breeding black people during slavery here. They were breeding mulattoes. They were breeding these people. You're talking about generation by generation. Then you're talking about colorism, right? So now you got these Africans, oh, we want the light one, right? So, yes, black Americans are mutts. We are not pure Africans. We are Europeans. We are Africans. We are natives. We're indigenous people. That is our bloodlines. That is our bloodlines, whether people want to admit it or not. That's what you are. You can hate the white man all you want to, but you got his blood running through your veins. Just like the white folks can hate us all they want to, but some of them are products of mulattoes. And if they run their DNA, they're going to see that African because they're products of mulattoes, right? So a whole lot of people hating folks. And if you run their DNA, those bloodlines are going through them. You hate the blood that's within you. But it's true. Yes, Black Americans have European, African, and Native Indigenous bloodlines through them. We're mutts. And to the sister that was offended about that, I'm sorry, your feelings felt that way, but we are mutts. That's what makes us different types of Black people in this nation. But anyways, you guys, or in this world. But anyways, you guys, let me know what you think about this. I think, getting back to the topic about human superiority, I don't think any human on this earth is superior to the next because we're all going to die. We're all going to die. We're all going to die. They can pop a disease out tomorrow and it'll whack off a number of people indiscriminately, and that's just what it is. And again, when we're talking about white supremacy, to me, as I assess it, it has boiled down to colonization and nothing else. Colonization and some other satanic things. That is the foundation of y'all supremacy, right? Because if we kind of look at every single race of people on this earth, your nation of people, your group of people, white people, are the only ones that God's sun burns. Most people have enough melanin not to be burned by the sun. Of the races, no matter how nappy and woolly and short Black women's hair is, it is still stronger than your hair, right? So we gotta be real about your supremacy, because it's definitely not physical. It's definitely not physical. It's mental, and it comes from a satanic colonizer's mindset. So if you are a white individual thinking that you are supreme to another person, we pray for you. We do pray for you. Get that hate out your heart, right? And I say this to any human being that has supremacy of mindset. Even though I believe in FBA delineation for a number of cultural reasons, I don't think that Black Americans are more supreme than any other Black looking people on this earth, right? I don't think that. That is not my mindset. I am not walking around with Black superiority because I'm a Black American. That's not it. I'm walking around as a lioness, a mercenary to my people. And the only thing that I ask other Black looking tribal people to do is don't fix your mouth to talk about us, especially if you fled your land to come to ours, right? It's disrespectful, and you shouldn't do that. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you to all the intelligent people who have chimed in. These are sensitive topics. That is what I do over here. All right. I'm not trying to inflame you folks. I'm not trying to placate into any political idealism. We're just going to stay in the middle with these topics and really digest them. And sometimes it's going to be difficult for people to want to talk about these. Some people are going to come in with their hate and their passionate ignorance. And I don't really read the comments too much because a lot of times, let me tell y'all what YouTube did to me yesterday, right? YouTube, y'all product can stop my live stream when I'm getting busy with these people. You need to get busy with people with these comments, right? And if you ever want to know, for all those white people to say that white supremacy is not a fabric of America today, I just want to invite you to read my comments. Read the chats. Read the chats, because either the government wants y'all white folks to look racist as hell, or y'all really do got a segment of y'all folks that's racist as hell. Either way, you got some defectors in your fold, and you need to get busy with them. I get busy with the Black racists too, right? And just understand that the most low value people in your fold cleave onto racism, all right? It's the ugliest, most low value people. They don't have those 5 social values that I talk about, right? Beauty, intelligence, ingenuity, agility. Oh, the last one is dynamic character. All right. So if you're not beautiful in society, if you're not smart in society, if you can't create anything in society, if you're not a gladiator or a sportsman in society, you need to have a dynamic character, right? This is where the comics in society and the very charismatic people come into play, right? Because they are still perceived as valuable, even if they may or may not be any of those things. Most of the times, this is where you get the salespeople. You ever see a very, very unattractive, successful salesperson? There's a reason for that. He has a dynamic character, and he can sell a dirty diaper to a guy wearing a white suit because his character is that damn dynamic, right? So these are the 5 social values. And if you are lacking any of these, you are a miserable person in society. You hate on everything. You hate on everything because you hate your damn self. So cleaving on to supremacist mindsets is really sort of a comfort cushion for you, because in your mind, right, there's nobody doing work, at least as ugly as I am, as dumb as I am, can't create stuff, I can't play any sports, I don't have a dynamic character, at least I'm not a black person. And that makes some people feel better about themselves. But we're here to tell you, we're taking your comfort cushion away, right? And we're going to just reveal you for who you are. And now you're going to have to deal with who you are. Find some value. Find some value. A lot of people are running around low value, miserable as hell, and they're putting their shit on other people. And that's not very nice, right? That's not very nice, right? And stop calling me racist. I don't like that. I'm not racist. I'm not racist. I don't believe in that. I immerse in everybody's culture. I want to understand you, right? But don't call me racist, because then my inner Cersei Lannister will come out. My inner Daenerys Targaryen will come out, and then I'll just start Dracarysing you in the comments. And then YouTube is going to stop my live stream because I'm getting in that ass too much, right? Let's be nice. Let's be nice, you know? And stop trying to make black women feel ugly. Yes, we have prominent features, okay? We do have prominent features. They're not the European white girl features, right? They're our features, right? And so when people want to make black women feel like we look like men, typically I want to look at you, right? Like I said, it's like the Old Spice commercial where it's like, you look like a transgender, you look like a man, and it's just like, then I look at you, balding, fat, awkward looking in the face. Get out of here. I probably look better than most of the women in your family. Get out of here with that. So anyways, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for checking in. And hopefully this conversation was enlightening to you, right? Hopefully you guys been chatting amongst yourself and getting to know each other on some reasonableness. But all praise to the God in heaven, Yahuwah, and happy Sabbath to those of you who observe. Bye.